The Plum in the Golden Vase, Chongzhen edition of the Embroidered Portrait, Chapter 67. Appreciating the Snow in Simon King's study and Li Ping'er's dreams about secret love. The word says, Shuofengxian, Chongye land. There are continuous waves of freezing color, covered with cold smoke. The mountains are hidden and the red clouds are connected to the water. And the decaying grass is ruthless. I want to be in the red clouds. Dark fragrant soul, chasing bitterness. Unless every night. Good dreams leave people to sleep. In the waning moon, I lean alone on a tall building. The wine fills my heart with sadness, turning into tears of love sickness. It is said that after Simon King returned home, the hard-working people slept until the sun was high the next day and did not get up. Li Xing'er came in and said, "The color builder is waiting outside. Please help me with the demolition of the shed." Simon King scolded Li Xing'er and said, "Just teach him how to dismantle the shed. He's just a consultant. Remove the loose strips of mat ropes and send them to the house opposite for stacking." Yu Xiao came into the room and said, "The weather is nice and not too cloudy." Simon King ordered him to get some clothes on the heated kang and get up. Yunyang then said, "You worked hard all night yesterday. It's cloudy, so you might as well go back to bed. Why are you getting up so early in a panic? Just don't go to the Yamen today." Simon King said, "I don't go to the Yamen. I'm afraid that Mr. Zhai's family will come to ask for a book." Yunyang said, "Since you said so, get up and I'll ask the maid to cook some porridge for you to eat." Simon King didn't comb his hair or wash his face. Wearing a fleece jacket and a felt scarf, he walked straight to the study in the garden. It turns out that since the book boy left, Simon King has entrusted Wang Jing to take charge of the garden study, while Chen Hong has tidied up the study in front of the hall. During the winter months, Simon King only sat in the study of Zhangshun Pavilion. There was a stove on the ground to warm the kang, a brass brazier on the ground, and an oil sheet and silk curtain. In the bright room, there are pomegranates, chrysanthemums of various colors, thin bamboos, green orchids, pens, inkstones, plums in bottles, and elegant music and books. When Simon King came in, Wang Jing hurriedly turned to the golden small seal and the dragon's saliva. Simon King sent Wang Jing, "Go and ask Lianer to invite your second father." Wang Jing came out and told Lianer to invite him. Ping An walked up and said to Wang Jing, "Xiao Zhuo is waiting outside." Wang Jing walked into the study and said to Simon King. Simon King called Xiao Zhuo and kowtowed and said, "It's good that you're here. Come and scratch your head with me." Because he said, "Why don't you come?" Xiao Zhuo said, "I saw that Liu Niang was gone. I was busy and didn't come." So Simon King sat down. He sat on the drunkard's chair, opened his hair and taught him how to comb it. I saw Earl Ying, who had come to Anares' invitation, wearing a felt hat, a green velvet jacket, and a pair of old soap boots and brown gloves. He opened the curtain and came in to sing. Simon King straightened his head and said, "If you don't be silent, please sit down." The Count pulled up a chair and sat down next to the brazier. Simon King asked, "Why are you dressed like this today?" The Count said, "You don't know. It's snowing outside and it's very cold. Yesterday, when I went home, the rooster crowed. And today I can't get up in vain. I'm not a high official going to do it. I'm still sleeping." "Brother, you're a good man. If it were me, I wouldn't be able to do it." Simon King said, "How can I be so free since I sent him out? I picked up Huang Taiwei and chanted scriptures until now. Today, my servant said, 'Thank you for your hard work. Go back to sleep.'" I remembered that Zhai's family came to ask for the book and watched the shed being demolished on the 24th. I have to send Mr. Han and Xiao Qi to get up. The funeral is a waste of time for relatives and friends. If you don't come to express your gratitude to the scholar bureaucrats, it won't be a good thing. The Earl said, "Exactly. I am worried about my brother's gratitude. It's okay to just thank a few important ones. For the others who are friendly to each other, just tell them, who knows that there are many things in your house. So let's keep an eye on each other." Just as he was talking, the painting boy took 2 cups of milk boiled with butter and white sugar. The Count took one and held it in his hand. He saw white goose fat like ghee floating in the cup and said, "Good stuff, hot." He sipped it in his mouth. It was sweet and delicious. It took away his strength and he drank it in just a few sips. Simon King waited for the grate to stop, and then asked Xiao Zhuo to remove his ears for him. He put the breasts on the table and refused to eat them. The Earl said, "Brother, why don't you eat some? It's a pity that it's cold. If you eat a cup early in the morning, it will nourish your body." Simon King said, "I won't eat it. If you eat it, I'll eat porridge later." The Earl made a sound of frustration, took it in his hand, and drank it all. Simon King took fire and asked Xiao Zhuer to roll a wooden roller on his body to perform massage and guidance techniques. The Earl asked, "Brother, do you feel comfortable rolling around?" Simon King said, "To tell you the truth, I often feel sore in the evening and have pain in my waist and back. I can't get rid of it without such massage." The Earl said, "You have such a fat body. If you eat such delicious food every day, don't you have phlegm and fire?" Simon King said, "Ren Huxi often said, although the old gentleman has a strong body, he is weak in Tai Kai. He gave me a jar of Baibu Trillium pill, saying that it was taken by Master Lin and taught me to take it with human milk every morning. I have been in a state of confusion for the past 2 days, but you just said that there were so many people around me. This has been happening all day long, since he died. Who has any idea about this?" Just as he was talking, Han Daoguo came in. Bodan sat down and said, "Everyone has come to meet us just now, and the boat has been hired. We will set off on the 24th. Simon King ordered, "Brother Gan, save the accounts. I exchanged the silver and packed it tomorrow." He asked, "How much silver was sold in the shops on both sides?" Han Daoguo said, "A total of more than 6,000 taels were collected." Simon King said, "I exchanged 2,000 taels for each package and took Chui Ben to Huzhou. Go buy silk. For the 4,000 taels, you and Lai Bo will go to Chongzhen to sell cloth and catch the boat for the new year. You can take 5 taels of silver each and pack your luggage at home." Han Daoguo said, "One more thing, Xiao. If you want to be straight from Prince Yan's house, what can you do if you don't pay official money?" Simon King said, "Why don't you pay official money? Xiang Libo is usually on Prince Yan's errand. He only pays 3 coins a month." Dao Guer said, "That Bao Guaner. Thanks to the note on the document from the Grand Master, I don't dare to pester you. This villain is an ancestor's servant, and he still wants to trick you, Ting." Simon King said, "In that case, you write a post the post. I will appoint Huxi to the palace to tell Wang Fengsheng that your name will be cancelled, and Chang Yuan will pay the official fee. You just have to send someone to fetch rice every month." Mr. Han Bodan thanked you. The Earl said, "Brother, if you handle this matter for him, he can go without any worries." After a while, Xiao Zhou rolled over and Simon King went back to comb his hair and ordered Xiao Zhuer to be sent for snacks. After a long time, Simon King came out, wearing a white velvet Chongqing crown and a velvet cloak, and rewarded Xiao Zhou with some money. He also sent Wang Jing, "Master Wen, please come." After a while, when Xiukai Iguanbo arrived with him, after the ceremony was completed, the tables were placed on the left and right sides, and the porridge was brought. The Earl and when Xiukai sat down, Simon celebrated the banquet, and Han Daoguo stood up. Simon King told Lianer, "Get another cup of porridge and a pair of chopsticks, and invite your brother-in-law to eat porridge." After a while, Chen Jingji arrived, wearing a filial piety scarf and a white silk Taoist robe. He bowed to the count and sat horizontally down. After eating the porridge for a while, he put down the fire and went away. Han Daoguo got up and went away. Simon King asked Wen Shukai, "Have you ever written it?" Wen Shukai said, "The student has written the manuscript here. You can only copy it after reading it with the old man." He took it out of his sleeve and handed it to Simon King for viewing. His book says, Simon Qingduansu, a descendant of King, lives in the audience with his father-in-law, Simon Qingduansu, who is the master of virtue, Chu Guo, Yunfeng, and said, "Ever since we met in the capital, I have not realized that it was against the light of the world, and it has been half a year. Unfortunately, in my birth, my wife was not well paid, but I was blessed by my in-laws who traveled far away to support me. And I also received the teachings of regret, which shows that I am profound and profound. The feeling is irresistible and will never be forgotten for the rest of my life. However, I am afraid that the official duties may be neglected for a while. If I lean against the door wall, my ears will be pulled out, and I will always be covered with brocade in front of Master Jin. Then everything you receive in your life will always be given by your relatives. Today, I am waiting for you to live in peace. I am so in love with you, but I am illuminating you and you will not announce it. On the outside, there are 10 squares of Yangzhou crepe sweat towels, 10 squares of colored silk sweat towels, 20 sets of gold and toothpicks, and 10 black gold wine bells. After Simon King finished reading, he ordered Chen Jingji to take out the personnel information from his study and sealed it with Shu Kai Wen. He transcribed the book on brocade paper, sealed it, and printed the book. In addition, he also sealed 5 taels of silver with the person who wrote the letter, Wang Yu. Seeing that the snow was falling heavily, Simon King left when Shu Kai in the study to enjoy the snow. Wipe the table and bring the wine. I saw someone peeking outside the curtain. Simon King asked who it was. Wang Jing said, "It's Zheng Chun." Simon King asked him to come in. Zheng Chun was holding 2 boxes in his hands, holding them high, and kneeling in front of him. There was a small gold-painted square box on top. Simon King asked what it was, and Zheng Chun said, "Sister you know what happened yesterday. Dad and Liu Niang have worked hard in reciting sutras, so it's okay. I'll give you these 2 boxes of tea and snacks to share with my dad." He opened them and found a box of fruit-filled puff pastry and a box of butter-steeped snails. Zheng Chun said, "Sister, you picked this with her own hands. I know that my father likes this food, so I come here to be filial to him." Simon King said, "Thank you for sending tea yesterday. Your sister, you took the trouble to send this again today." The Earl said, "Okay, bring it here. I'm about to try it. One of my daughters knew how to pick snails, and now another daughter knows how to pick them." He pinched one and put it in his mouth, then picked up another and handed it to Wen Shukai, said, "Old man, you should try it too. After eating it, you will be reborn, and you will be reborn." Seeing a strange thing is better than a person who has lived for 10 years. When Shu Kai sipped it in his mouth, and it melted in his mouth, and said, "This thing, it comes from the western regions, and is unparalleled in the world. It is a delicious food that nourishes the lungs and melts the heart." Simon King asked again, "What's in the small box?" Zheng Chun quietly knelt in front of Simon King and handed the box over, said, "This is something that sister you brought to my father." Simon King put the box on his knees and opened it before looking at it. The Earl had already taken it over with his hand and opened it to reveal a brocade with a pattern and a peach-red silk scarf. "There is a packet of melon kernels inside that I ate by myself." The Earl snatched the sweat scarf from Simon King and ate both the melon kernels in his mouth. When Simon King snatched it away with his hands, there was only a little bit left, so he cursed. "What a weird dog. You are a greedy person. It is also a human heart to leave some bits to meet me." The Earl said, "My daughter is here. If you don't be filial to me, who else can you be filial to? My son, you have eaten enough." Simon King said, "Mr. Wen is here. I can't scold you. You are such a bad guy." Putting the sweat towel into his sleeve, he told Wang Jing to put the box behind him. After a while, the cups and plates were arranged and the wine was sifted. After just having a round of wine, Dayaner came in and said, "Li Zi and Huang Si have collected the silver and are here to send it." Simon King asked how much it was, and Diane said, "He said 1,000 taels, and the rest will be sent later." "Look at these 2 damned ones," the Count said. "There is less money to go out. These 2 bachelors have taken on too many debts, and they are afraid that they will not be able to take them back." Yesterday, Su Nixiang in the north was angry and wanted to go to Dongping Mansion to carry out the money. "I'm just afraid that his old cow will be slapped, but it's not difficult for him." Simon King said, "I'm not afraid of him. I'm not afraid that he won't give me the money." He told Chen Jingji, "Just go out and redeem his money." "I won't go out." After a long time, Chen Jingji came back and said, "The silver has been exchanged for 1,000 taels." I handed it to the back and took it. Huang Si said that he also wanted to ask Dad to go out and have a word. Simon King said, "You just said that I will accompany you. He just needs to arrange the contract and tell him to come after the 24th. Jingji said, "I have something to worry about." Simon King said, "What's the matter?" "I'm going out." As he walked to the hall, Huang Si kowtowed and said, "My brother-in-law has taken the money. I'll pay the rest if I order it." As he said this, he kowtowed, crying in the ground. Simon King pulled him up and said, "What's the matter with Duan? Come and tell me." Huang Si said, "My grandfather, Sun King, hired Fenger, a boy, to sell cotton in Danchong Mansion. I didn't expect Fenger to have a son. Feng Huai didn't keep his duty, so he locked the door and went out to stay in prostitution. That day, 2 big bags of cotton were missing. The father-in-law said a few words, and Fenger beat his son and my brother-in-law twice. Sun Wenxiang got into a fight and knocked out one of his teeth. He also injured his head. Unexpectedly, his son arrived home half a month late and died of tetanus. By Chongzhen, who devoted himself to being the master of the gangsters, instigated Fenger, and filed a formal complaint at the patrol Yamen, criticizing Lei Bingbai's father for questioning. The official asked. The Bai family sent money to Tong Tuiguan and asked the neighbor to give a confession, saying that the villain's father-in-law was shouting at him. Now Tong Tuiguan has come to ask for my father's mercy, asking for the letter. He told Father Lei that he would rather be in prison for a few days, get the documents, and see Father Lei ask. Then he would have a chance to survive out of bail limit. First, his father Fenger called. So why rely on Sun Wenxiang alone? Simon King read the note and wrote, "I saw the prisoners, Sun King and Sun Wenxiang in Danchong Mansion, begging for help, because he said, Lei Bingbi was drinking at my place the day before yesterday. I only know him once and don't know him well. How can I write a book to him?" Huang Si knelt down and cried and begged, "If you don't, Dad?" Unfortunately, both my father-in-law and his father are dead. Now they are just going out with Sun Wenxiang. It is a great kindness for my father to come out separately. My grandfather is 60 years old this year and he has no family. If you are put in prison during the cold winter months, you will die." Simon King pondered for a long time and said, "That's fine. I'll go talk to Dad Jin from the central bank office and talk to him. We are the same age as him." Chen Jinshi, Huang Si kowtowed again, took out 100 stones of white rice from his sleeve and handed it to Simon King, unfastening 2 packets of silver from his waist. Simon King didn't answer and said, "I want money from your business." Huang Si said, "I don't care about it, so it's normal for me to thank you for money." Simon King said, "It doesn't matter. I'll buy him a gift to thank him when it's done." Just as he was talking, Earl Ying came out of the corner door and said, "Brother, don't say favors to 4th brother Huang. He doesn't burn incense when he's free, and hugs the Buddha's legs when he's busy. Yesterday, I was here chanting sutras and didn't even give him tea. Why don't you come and take a walk? I'm here to talk about favors today." Then Huang Si sang with the Earl and said, "Good uncle, you're killing someone. I've been away for half a month because of this, so who has time to spare? Yesterday, I went to the house to collect the money. When I came to pay the money today, I told my father-in-law about this. He refused to accept this gift again and again, but he still refused to pay attention to the villain." The count saw the official silver of 100 taels. In front of him, Yin asked, "Brother, are you going to speak for him?" Simon King said, "I'm not familiar with Lei Bingbai, and now I have to transfer the money to the central government to speak for him. Tomorrow, I will buy it just a gift to thank the old man. What's the point of accepting a gift from him? If you don't accept it, it's just like you don't accept it. Although you don't care about it, it's normal to thank Mr. Jin tomorrow. It depends on the fate of your grandfather and your brother-in-law. I'll beg you this time. It's rare for both of you to come out okay. Your father doesn't care about your money. You just have a banquet in the courtyard and treat us to a day." Huang Si said, "Second uncle, please take care of yourself." Needless to say, the villain is serving wine, and he also asked my father-in-law to buy gifts and kowtow to thank you. To be honest, I have been working for him day and night for this matter, but I still can't find a way out. What's wrong with my father?" The count said, "You fool. Why don't you tighten your arms for him?" Huang Si said, "I'm just crying at home." Simon King said to him, "I accepted the gift card and asked him to take it back as a gift." Huang Sidao, "You old man has never seen a big event, so you worry about it so much," and walked out. The Earl said, "Come here, and I'll tell you. When will you need the book?" Huang Si said, "Now I am waiting for help. I hope my father will write the book today and send a servant. I will send my son to go with him tomorrow morning. I don't know what happened. The senior official will go and I will meet him." Simon King said, I will write a book for you. Yin called Dan and said, you will go with Huang Dogwen tomorrow. Huang Si saw Dian, said goodbye to Simon King and went out. When he reached the door, he asked Dian for the bag containing the silver. Dian went into the back room, and Yunyang was sewing clothes with Yu Xiao and Xiao Yu in her room. Seeing Dian standing there waiting for the sling, Yu Xiao said, hurry up and copy it. Tell him to give it to him tomorrow. Dian said, Huang Si and others have to get up early tomorrow to go to Dongchang Prefecture, so they can't come. You can copy it for him. Yunyang said, just give it to him and let him wait. Yu Xiao said, the silver is still on the bed, isn't it? She went to the inner room, poured the silver on the bed, and took out the sling, saying, take it. Blame the prisoner, who ate his sling and only wanted to bite leeches. Dian said, if he doesn't want it, who can come and take it? So he took it out, walked to the ceremonial gate, and shook out a piece of Magatu silver worth 3 taels. It turned out that the paper package was torn, and Yu Xiao was so angry that she fell down and a piece of it fell into the bottom of the sling. Dian said, I am glad to have found some white money. Then he slipped it into his sleeve. He handed it to Huang Si in front and agreed to get up early the next morning. Let's say Simon King returned to the study and immediately asked Wen Shukai to revise the book and gave it to Dian without saying anything. At the same time, he looked at the snow falling outside the door, like willow catkins and pear blossoms dancing in the wind. Simon King opened another jar of double-ingredient Magu wine and asked Chen Hong to sift it up with a cloth steamer. Zheng Chen played the zither and sang softly beside him. Simon King asked him to sing a set of The Wind is Gentle Under the Willows. While singing, the boykin came in and said, Uncle Han asked me to take this note to Dad. Simon King read it and ordered, take it to the doctor's house outside the gate and ask him to speak for him. Ask him to go to the Changfeng office in the mansion tomorrow to speak for him and cancel his job. The boykin said, it's late today. I'll go tomorrow morning. Simon King said, it's okay to go tomorrow morning. Soon, Lianer brought 8 bowls of rice in a square box and 2 large plates of rose goose oil steamed cakes, including Chen Jingji, for people 8. Simon King asked Wang Jing to bring 2 bowls of rice and a plate of snacks with a box and plate for Zheng Chen to eat, and rewarded him with 2 large cups of wine. Zheng Chen knelt down and said, I can't eat it. The Earl said, silly boy, you are so cold. Your father gave you a reward, but you didn't eat it. How did your brother eat it? Zheng Chen said, my brother ate it. I can't eat it at all. The Earl said, just drink 1 cup, and I'll ask Wang Jing to drink the other cup for you. Wang Jing said, second father, I can't eat it either. The Earl said, you silly boy, you can just eat some for him. Don't talk about a big portion. Since ancient times, the elders give, and the young dare not refuse. He stood up and said, I'll teach you to drink this cup anyway. Wang Jing pinched his nose and drank it in 1 gulp. Simon King said, what a dog talent. The little bastard can't eat it. But what can you do to him? There was still half a cup left. Yingbo asked Chen Hong to drink it for him, and then he was going to let him come up to sing southern songs. Simon King said, let's play a game with Mr. Wen every day. It will be fun if we teach him to sing while we drink. So he asked Wang Jing to get the dice bowl. Let Mr. Wen start first. Scholar Wen said, how dare I be presumptuous? I'll follow Mr. Ying. So he asked, what's your name, sir? The Earl said, my name is Nanbo. Simon King joked, you don't know, old sir. He is alone and old, and when he takes out the bucket in the evening, he dare not pour it nearby for fear of being scolded by the neighbors. So he asked the maid to take it directly to the wall under the warehouse in Daninshu County and throw it. So he called himself Nanpo. Scholar Wen laughed and said, this po is different. The po in that word is the phone on the edge of the water, but this po is the 2 with a pie next to it. Simon King, he said, old man, you can guess it. His wife is always wrapped in fur. When Shukai laughed and said, how can you say that? The Earl said, quick Xuan. You don't know. He has always been quick to hurt my uncle's family. When Shukai said, it has been said since ancient times that people don't laugh without saying vulgar words. The Earl said, old man, you have delayed every game of ours. You just keep talking to him. He is about to shit and hurt people. You have it in your hand. No need to be humble. When Shukai said, dice the number. It doesn't matter if you want the word snow. If you want it, drink a small cup. If you can't say it, drink a large cup. When Shu Kai threw an ace and said, I have it. The snow has been gone and the egrets have been singing for a long time. It was the Earl's turn to play, and he threw a 5. The Earl thought for a long time, but could not remember. He said, You are forcing my life. After a long time, he said, How can it be possible? He said, Plum blossoms bloom in the snow. Is it good? When Shu Kai said, Mr. Nan is wrong. There are 2 snow characters. There is an extra snow character above. The Earl said, It was just a little snow above. And then it snowed heavily. Simon King said, This dog is talking nonsense. He asked Wang Jing to pour a big bell, and Chen Hong clapped his hands and sang the southern song Ju Ma Ting. No tea on a cold night. I walked to the village to find a store. The snow floated lightly on the monk's house and sprinkled densely on the singing hall, blocking the return raft from afar. I took the opportunity to explore the plum blossoms by the river and enjoyed the burning of silver candles in the courtyard. It was endless, like the willow catkins flying all over the sky at Bacau. The Earl was about to pick up the wine to drink, but he saw Lianer coming up with a few plates of fruit food, including a plate of butter-soaked snails and a plate of black dumplings wrapped in orange leaves. The Count picked it up, smelled its fragrance, and tasted like honey. So sweet and delicious that he had no idea what it was. Simon King said, Guess. The Earl said, Could it be sugar soap? Simon King smiled and said, How can sugar soap be so delicious? The Earl said, If you say it is plum crisp pills, there are seeds inside. Simon King said, The dog just came here. I will tell you. You can't even dream about it. It was brought back from Hangzhou yesterday by a small ship called Yimei. It is made of various medicinal materials and honey, rolled on bayberry, and wrapped with mint and orange leaves, which makes it so delicious. Put one in your mouth every morning. It can produce fluid to nourish the lungs, remove bad taste, kill phlegm and fire, relieve alcohol and overcome indigestion. It is better than plum crisp pills. The Earl said, If you don't tell me, how would I know? So he said, Mr. Wen, let's have another one. He asked Wang Jing, Bring a piece of paper. I will wrap 2 pills and take them home to your second mother to eat. He picked up the snails and asked Zheng Chen, Are these snails really picked by your sister Yu? Zheng Chen knelt down and said, Second sister, are they picked by your sister Yu? Dad, dare to lie. Get him. Earl, I don't say anything in my head. What do I worry about? Earl, older you don't know. He is your little nephew. Simon King said, I am his old man for 20 years. Chen Jingji got up and laughed. Soon, the Earl finished a big bow, and it was Simon King's turn to roll the dice. So he rolled a 7, thought for a long time and said, I'm going to sing the first line of Shang Wo Dai. The Lord of Spring is eager to leave, and the pear blossoms are like snow. The Earl said, You are wrong. This is the 9th word, and drank a big bow. So Liu Yaner poured a silver kuhu bell, put it in front of Simon King, and taught Chen Hong to sing, saying, My son, you have a jujube in your stomach to relieve the bored. How many lines can you sing? Chen Hong clapped his hands and sang another one. They drank until they were drunk, and the candle was lit. Simon King finished drinking, and the Earl said, Brother-in-law is not here. Mr. Wen, you should finish the order. When Shu Kai picked up the dice and rolled a 1, he thought for a while and saw a hanging screen on the wall with a couplet written in gold. The wind blows the weak willows on the flat bridge in the evening. The snow dots the cold plums in the small courtyard in spring. He said the last line. The Earl said, No, it's not from your heart. You should drink a big cup. Chen Hong poured him a glass of wine, but when Shu Kai couldn't handle the wine, and he just dozed off on the chair and got up to say goodbye. The Earl wanted to keep him, but Simon King said, Forget it. The old man is a scholar. He can't drink. He ordered the painting boy, You take your master when to rest. When Shu Kai left without saying a word, the Earl said, The quickshuan is not working well today. How much wine did you drink? You're drunk. So when they had drunk enough, the Earl stood up and said, The ground is slippery, and I've had enough wine. So he said, Brother, tomorrow you should ask Diane to take the letter to him early. Simon King said, If you didn't see me handing him the letter, I would have gone early tomorrow. The Earl lifted the curtain and saw that it was cloudy and slippery, so he asked for a lantern and went with Zheng Chen. Simon King gave Zheng Chen another 5 cents of silver and put a can of plums in the box back to his sister Zheng Yue to eat. Before leaving, Simon King teased the Earl. "You two brothers, go well." The Earl said, "You talk too much. Father and son go up the mountain. Each of us should work hard." "Okay, I'm going to talk to that little whore Zheng Yue now." With that, the zither boy escorted him out. After Simon King put away his things, he helped Lionel and entered the corner gate with a lantern. He passed by Pan Jinlian's door and saw that the corner gate was closed, so he quietly went to Li Pingera's room. He knocked on the door. Chu Chen opened the door, and Lion went out. Simon King entered the main room and saw Li Pingera's shadow, so he asked, "Have you offered soup and rice?" Ryer came out and answered, "My sister and I offered it just now." Simon King sat on the chair, and Yingshan brought him tea to eat. Simon King asked him to untie his belt, and Ryer knew that he was resting in this room, so he quickly made the bed, warmed the quilt ironed by a hot water woman, and sent him to rest. Shu Chen closed the corner door, and they all set up benches on the ground in the main room and went to sleep. Simon King wanted tea, and the two of them, who knew the rules, hurriedly urged the wife to go in and sleep with him. The wife took off her clothes and got into bed. Simon King took advantage of the wine and took the medicine. He used a prop on his penis, and the wife lay on her back on the king, crossed her legs, and fiddled with her as much as possible, fanning her up and down. The tip of the wife's tongue was cold, and her lewd water flowed down, and she kept shouting "Dada." In the quiet night, the sound could be heard from several rooms. Simon King saw that his wife's body was like cotton melon seeds, so he put his arms round him, asked him to squat down, and suck his cock in the quilt, and his wife bent her body to obey. Simon King said, "My son, your skin is as white as your mother's. When I hold you, it's like sleeping with her. You must serve me attentively, and I will take care of you." His wife said, "Dad, you are comparing me to heaven and earth, which is really a shame for me. I am no longer a man, but Dad, you don't mind my ugliness. Just looking at me every morning and evening is enough." Simon King asked, "How old are you?" His wife said, "I am 31 years old this year." Simon King said, "You are 1 year younger than me." He was very happy to see that he could talk and was so romantic on the pillow. When he got up in the morning, his wife took his shoes and socks and helped him wash and comb his hair. She was very attentive and put Yingshan and Shu Chen at the back. She asked Simon King for some green onion silk to make a coat for my mother to wear in mourning. Simon King agreed to all of them. He asked the servant to get 3 pieces of green onion silk from the shop. "You can cut one for each family." He hid it from Yu Niang and secretly gave him money, clothes, and jewelry. The next day, Pan Jinlian found out about it and went to the back and said to Yu Niang, "Big sister, why don't you say a few words to him? This shameless thief sneaked into the room over there yesterday and spent the night with his wife. He was so hungry that he saw melon peels. What kind of businessman is he? He took the good and bad. He was not clear about it. Who will the child be tomorrow? And it's like Lai Wang's daughter-in-law. He will be embarrassed in the future. What a shame." Yu Niang said, "Just tell me that he wants his dead daughter-in-law. And you are always good people behind his back. Just putting me into the jar. Now I am a fool again. Just talk to him. I don't care about your idle account." Jinlian heard Yu Niang say this and went back to her room without saying a word. Simon King got up early and saw that the sky was clear, so he sent Dai into Qian's house to deliver a letter. After returning from the government office, Ping Anner came to report. Sai Dad's people came to ask for books. Simon King sent the letter to him and asked the man, "Why didn't you come to get it yesterday?" The man said, "I went to the governor to send a letter, and I was delayed for 2 days." After that, he took the book out. After Simon King had dinner, he went to the house opposite to watch the exchange of silver, packing, and book accounts. On the 24th, he burned paper and sent Han, Chui Ben, and the young man Rong Hai, and Huzu to the south. He wrote a letter to Mao Xiaohu to thank him for the generous gift. After the 25th or 26th, Simon King thanked Bai Xiao. One morning, he had dinner in the upper room and sat down. Yu Niang said, The first day of the month is the birthday of the elder sister of my father-in-law Kiao, so we should buy a gift and send it to her. As the saying goes, the first gift is the last gift. But since our child is gone, can we stop sending gifts? Simon King said. Why not? So he ordered Lai Xing to buy 4 boxes of gifts, a set of embroidered satin clothes, 2 gold-plated hand towels, and a box of jade. He wrote a note and asked Wang Jing to send it. After Simon King gave the order, he went to sit in the study room of Chongzhen Pavilion in the garden. Diane came back with a reply, saying, after seeing my letter, Old Man Jin wrote a letter and sent an official to go with me and Huang Xi's son to the military preparation road of Dongchang Prefecture, to meet Old Man Lei. Old Man Lei immediately sent a letter to the Tong Tui Guan to urge the documents, and even brought the prisoners to be questioned again. Even his son's son Wen Xiang was released, and only 10 taels of money for burning and burying were recovered. He was questioned and found that he was not guilty, and was punished with 70 strokes of the cane and fine for redemption. He went to the bank again to reply to Old Man Jin and asked for a reply. And then came. Simon King was very happy to see that Diane was used. He opened the reply and saw that Lei Bingbai's reply to Jin Zhuxi was in it. It read, the order has been issued, but Feng'er has already blamed his son first. Not to mention that he and Sun Wen had a fight, both injured each other, and died after the fight. He was also outside the bail period, and it is difficult to be fair to ask him to pay with his life. 10 taels of money for burning and burying will be recovered and given to Feng'er, and he will be punished accordingly. Here is the reply. The following inscription reads, the young attendant Lei Qiyuan bows again. Simon King was delighted to see this, so he asked, where is my uncle Huang Xi? Diane said, he always goes home. Come with Huang Xi to kowtow to my father tomorrow. Huang Xi's father-in-law gave me 1 tael of silver. Simon King told him to put on his shoes, and Diane kowtowed and laughed. Simon King then fell asleep on the bed. Wang Jing lit some incense in the small seal script on the table and quietly came out. After a long time, someone suddenly heard the sound of lifting the curtain. Li Ping'er suddenly came in, wearing a purple shirt and a white silk skirt, with her hair in a mess and a yellow face. She shouted to the bedside, my brother, you are sleeping here. I came to see you. I was sued by that guy and imprisoned in prison. I was covered in blood and dirt, and I have suffered all this time. Yesterday, you spoke up for me in court and reduced my sentence by 3 levels. That guy refused again and again, and was angry and wanted to sue you. If I hadn't come to tell you, I would have been afraid that you would be killed sooner or later. I am going to find a place to stay now. You must be on guard against him. Don't go out to drink at night. Where are you going? Come home early. Please remember my words. Don't forget it. After that, the two hugged each other and cried. Simon King asked, Sister, where are you going? Tell me. Li Ping'er took off her clothes, and it was all a dream. Simon King woke up from his sleep crying, and saw the shadow of the curtain shining in. It was noon, and he couldn't help but feel heartbroken. It was just like the flowers fell and the fragrance disappeared, and the mirror was empty and the phoenix shadow woke up from the dream. There is a poem that proves it. The last snow just cleared and shone on the paper window, and the ashes of the stove soaked the bed coldly. I made a dream of love sickness, and the wind blew the fragrance of plum blossoms in the tent. Unexpectedly, Mrs. Kiao Da, who sent Kiao Tong to send invitations to Yunyang and the other sisters. The boy said, Dad is sleeping in the study. He didn't dare to ask. Yunyang was looking after Kiao Tong behind, and Pan Junlian said, Take the post and wait until I ask him. Then she suddenly opened the study door and saw Simon King leaning sideways. He sat down next to him and said, my son. I'm talking to myself. What are I doing here? I can't see you. It's so easy to sleep here. While talking, he looked at Simon King and asked, Why are your eyes so red? Red. Simon King said, I think I fell asleep with my head down. Jinlian said, It's like crying. Simon King said, It's my fault. Why am I crying? I'm afraid you're thinking of your sweetheart. Simon King said, That's nonsense. What kind of sweetheart or subordinate is there? Jinlian said, Li Ping'er belongs to your heart, and your breasts belong to me. We are outsiders and cannot be counted. Simon King said, It's strange that you are talking nonsense again. He asked, I'm talking to you seriously. Sister Lee was in the coffin the day before yesterday. What kind of clothes does he wear underneath? Jin Lian said. Why are you asking? Simon King said. No, I'm asking. Jin Lian said. There must be a reason for that. 2 sets of gold satin clothes, with a white silk jacket and a yellow silk skirt underneath, and a purple silk jacket, white silk skirt and bright red coat. Simon King nodded. Jin Lian said, I have been a veterinarian for 20 years, but I can't guess that the donkey is sick. You don't miss him. Why ask him? Simon King said, I just dreamed about him coming. Jin Lian said, dreams are just thoughts in my heart. Sneezing and having an itchy nose. Even if he dies, you still miss him like this. I am someone who doesn't care about you. When he dies tomorrow, there will be no one to miss him. Simon King stepped forward and put his arms round him. When he came to his neck, he kissed her on the lips and said, You little oily mouth. You have such a treacherous tongue. Jin Lian said, My son, I can't guess what your yellow cat and black tail mean. 2 of them. I smacked my tongue again, feeling that the sweet saliva melted into my heart. My lips were filled with fragrant fat, and the orchids and musk deer around me were astonishing. Simon King felt lustful and held him in his arms. He leaned back on the comb, revealed his words, and asked the woman to play the flute. The woman lowered her pink head, stammered and slurred as she came and went. Simon King was distracted when he saw that he was wearing a golden red tiger on his head. The fragrant clouds were surrounded by emerald plum blossoms, and the beads on his back were scattered, and he was extremely excited. Just as he was doing his best, he suddenly saw Lai Anner saying through the curtain, Yinger's father is here. Simon King said, Please come in. The panicked woman had no words to shout. Lai Anner is a thief. Please don't call me. He came in and waited for me to go out. Lai Anner said, He's in the small courtyard. The woman said, Why don't you teach him to hide? Then Lai Anner walked over and said, Second father, please. Shining, someone is in the house. The count walked to the pine wall and looked at the snow-caught bamboo. Wang Jing lifted the soft curtain and heard the sound of her skirt, and Jin Lian walked away quickly. Exactly, the egrets hidden in the snow can only be seen when they fly, and the parrots hidden in the willows can only understand their language. The count came in, saw Simon King, and sat down. Simon King asked, Why haven't you come for days? The earl said, Brother, I'm so annoyed that I wouldn't be here. Simon King asked, What's so annoying? Just tell me. The earl said, I don't have any money at home, but yesterday a baby came out of the house. It was fine during the day, but at midnight, the house had all sorts of ailments. I had to pick up the straw bedding and ask my mother to go get it. Ying Bao was sent by my brother to carry grass to Zhuangzi. I was so busy that I called Mrs. Deng from the alley to come over. Simon King asked, What are you raising? The count said, I have a little boy. Simon King scolded, It's not good for you to have a son. How can you be upset that it's Chun Wei who gave birth to him? The count said with a smile. And Chun. Simon King said, Who told you to ask me to come? The earl said, Brother, you don't know what to do in the cold winter months. A wealthy family has a great future, and having a son would be the icing on the cake. So we like it. We even have a shadow of our own. So what do we want from him? The whole family needs to be fed and clothed, and Baji's soul is gone. Ying Baozhori went to do his errands, and the elder daughter was sent away. Thanks to you, the second child is getting older. I was 13 years old. Yesterday, the matchmaker came to ask for my wife. I said, Good morning. Go ahead. The anxious soul was gone, but suddenly the black sky and the earth came out again. When the servant saw me complaining, he had no choice but to give his piece of silver to my mother. People who were shouting knew that I would not be at home until the full moon. Simon King said with a smile, Come here and warm up the bed. You are such a talented dog, so you can take advantage of it. He laughed again. Once, Earl Nang deliberately kept his mouth shut and kept silent. Simon King said, My son, don't be upset. How much money can you use to tell me that I will be with you? The Earl said, How much is it? Simon King said, It is enough to trouble you. When it's not enough, I'll use my clothes as a pawn. The Earl said, If you're willing to look down, 20 taels of silver will be enough. I'll write a note here. It's too troublesome for me to speak. I don't dare to fill in the numbers, Just follow my brother's wishes." Simon King didn't accept his invitation and said, "It's no nonsense. My friend's house. What a charm." Just as he was talking, he saw Anna coming to get tea. "Come in." Simon King called the boy, put down the lamp and called Wang Jing. After a while, Wang Jing arrived. Simon King ordered, "Go back and tell your aunt that on the pavilion behind the bed in my room, Mr. Song, who was patrolling the day before yesterday, placed 2 envelopes of silver for wine. Bring one." Wang Jing promised and brought the silver soon. Simon King handed it to Earl Ying and said, "Take this 50 taels of envelope and leave it intact. Please open it and take a look." The Earl said, "That's a lot." Simon King said, "That's a lot. Keep it. Now that your wife is not old enough, can you also make some shoes and clothes for him, which will look good when the moon comes?" The Count said, "Brother, it's all separate." The government then divided the capital, giving them 2 or 3 ingots. The pine grain was full of color, and he was full of joy. He quickly paid tribute and thanked him, and said, "Who is willing to accept your kindness? Are you really not willing to accept the charm?" Simon King said, "Silly boy, who cares about you? I am your mother-in-law. Otherwise, you will come to pester me if you have something to do." The servant Chen Huier came and promised me that it would be nothing more than profit. The Count said, "Your Aunt Chen has become as thin as your mother in the past 2 days." After 2 scenes, the Earl asked, "What happened to Mr. Huang Zhejiang?" Simon King said, "When Jin Longyi's letter arrived, Lei Bing prepared the xingxing pie and brought the prisoner up to question him again. He took out both Sun Wensheng and his son, and only admitted 10 taels of money were burned to bury him." The Earl said, "It's good for him. He'll light the lamp and look for this favor. You don't care about it, sir. That's fine. Don't spare him. Let's have a big drink with him. If you don't tell me, I'll spare his brother-in-law a death sentence and treat it as nothing more. It's irrelevant to talk here. Let's say that Yunyang was in the upper room when she saw Meng Yulu coming and said to his brother Meng Rui. Soon he got up and went to Sichuan and Guangzhou to sell groceries. Now he is bidding farewell to his father and is sitting in my room. Where is he?" Sister asked a boy to say something to him. Yu Niang said, "He is sitting with Yinger in the garden study." He also said that he would like to invite his father. Kiao Tong is here to send the invitation. Let's talk about whether we can go tomorrow. I left Kiao Tong to have tea and waited for a long time without seeing him. After a long time, Kiao Tong also left, and I saw him coming from the front. I asked him, "Have you ever told him?" He said nothing, and just said, "I forgot about it." It turned out that he was a scammer without a clue. What's the business? I just came in half a day ago, so I didn't say anything about it. I said a few words and went forward. After a while, Lion came in, and Yunyang asked him to invite Simon King, saying that Uncle Meng was here. Simon King then stood up and asked the Earl, "If you leave, I'll come." After walking to the back, Yunyang first sent invitations to the Kiao family. Simon King said, "Only you can go that day. Since you are so warm and filial, everyone in the family will come out." Yunyang said, "Second Uncle Meng came to say goodbye to you, and he got up and went to Sichuan and Guangzhou in a day or 2. And the third sister is sitting in the room." He asked again, "Who do you want to give the money to?" Simon King said, "Chen Huier, the second brother, gave birth to a son last night and asked me how much money I can borrow. Tell me. His second daughter is too old to be worried." Yunyang said, Okay. He is so old, and he has just met this child. I don't know how he likes it. Tomorrow, we must send him some porridge and rice." Simon King said, "It goes without saying. When the full moon comes, don't spare Huazi, but he will post a message and ask you to go to his house and take a look." "What does Chen Huier look like?" Yunyang said with a smile. "It looks just like yours. It has a nose and eyes, so there are some differences." An envoy came to invite Uncle Meng. After a while, Meng Yulu and his brother came to visit him. After the ceremony was completed, Simon King accompanied him to the conversation and went to the study in front to meet the Count. He ordered the boys to look at the vegetables, set the table to sift the wine, and the 3 of them drank. Simon Qingjia took the 2 bell chopsticks again and said, "Please ask Master when to sit with your second uncle at the opposite door." Lion replied after a while, "Master Wen is not here, and Master Ni has gone." Simon King said, please come and sit with your brother-in-law. Sit down. After a long time, Chen Jingji came, greeted his second uncle, and sat down horizontally. Simon King asked, "When did my second uncle get up and how long did he go?" Meng Rua said, "You should get up on the second day of the lunar month. I don't know the age, but I went to Jingzhou to buy paper, and Sichuan and Guangzhou sold fragrant wax. It took a year or two, no more, after selling the goods. He came home. He went from Henan, Shaanxi, and Hanzhou, and came back from Shizheng and Jingzhou, which is 7 or 8,000 miles away." The second uncle asked, "How much is your age?" Meng Rua said, "I have wasted 26 years. The count said, "Thanks to your young age, you have learned so much about the world, and it seems that we are too old to just sit at home." The dishes were put in, the cups and plates were laid out, and when Uncle Meng finished eating, he took his leave. Simon King sent it back and ate it with the Earl. I saw that 2 warehouses were bought, and Simon King commissioned Chen Jingji to install the warehouses. When Yunyang found Li Ping'er's 2 sets of brocade clothes, mixed them with gold, silver, money, paper and put them in the treasury, because he said to the Earl, "Today is the 7th day of his 12th lunar month. He does not chant sutras and burns the treasury." The Earl said, "Time flies so fast. My sister-in-law has been dead for a month and a half." Simon King said, "This is the 5th day of the 1st lunar month. When he is dead, he must recite a sutra for him." The Count said, "This is just a Buddhist sutra." Simon King said, "My eldest brother said that when he was here, he had a baby. Pen Sutra Repentance. I promised the 2 female monks at home to be the first ones, and asked some nuns to pray for him for a few volumes of repentance." After saying that, the Earl saw that it was late and said, "I'm just afraid of you burning paper with my sister-in-law." He also paid deep tribute and said, "Brother Meng's kindness will never be forgotten. I'm going to give you gifts." The Count said, "Why do you want to buy gifts? I'll just put my head on the ground and invite all the sisters-in-law to come to Han's house. Pack it up and bring it over for me to take a look at." The Earl said, "Your Aunt Chun is here. She has a son, so she doesn't need you anymore." Simon King said, "Don't panic. I'll talk to him when I see him." The Count laughed. Simon King ordered the boy to collect the guy and go to Li Ping'er's room. Chen Jingji and Dian have sealed the warehouse. That day, Jade Emperor Temple, Yangfu Temple, and Baoan Temple all sent Shu. Simon King saw that the soup and rice dishes were all ready for the spring festival. He brought out the banquets, lit incense and candles, and asked Shu Chen to invite Wu Yunyang and others. Simon King and Li Ping'er burned the paper and carried it out of the warehouse. Zhao Jingji looked at it and burned the front door. Exactly, Fang Hen is not expected to die with ashes, and will have an unfinished fate in the next life.
Alright, this part of the story ends here.
Want to know what happened next? Let's listen to the breakdown next time.